On Friday, October 27th, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning because I had a nightmare that Vanny broke into my house and tried to kill me. Unable to go back to sleep, I decided I might as well watch a FNAF movie. Not too long after I finished it, I watched it again with someone else, taking notes this time as I was sure I wanted to make a video about it. So here we are. This should go without saying, but this video will contain massive spoilers, so don't watch it if you haven't seen the movie. Without further ado, get ready to subscribe because I believe I might be able to flip everything you think you know about this movie on its head. The cast list for the FNAF movie was leaked pretty early on, and we got a good look at the main characters. Right off the bat, people immediately saw the name Abby and drew a connection to Elizabeth. Abby is sometimes a nickname for people named Elizabeth, and it's an anagram of baby, and she's Mike's little sister. Seemed like an open and shut case. See, as soon as the movie starts, something is off. Mike is a child of a family that is clearly not the Aftons. His father and mother are, as far as I'm aware, completely unnamed, and his only sibling is Garrett. By all accounts, it's easy to just assume and accept that the movie version of Michael is a Schmidt. Well, assumption makes an astronaut out of you and me because Mike is an Afton and I can prove it. For Michael's very first introduction, two things caught my eye. We'll get to the second thing in a bit, but first off, his Dream Theory book has a bunny on it. A bit weird, but it's not super hard evidence, right? Well, when Mike goes to certified career counselor Steve Raglan, aka William Afton, he's not very helpful or friendly at first, not until he reads Mike's name. He pauses as he reads Schmidt. He immediately looks at Michael and leans in, inspecting him. After a few seconds of silence, William gets up and rushes to make Michael some coffee. Why? Because Schmidt is a name he's familiar with, and after realizing Mike's last name is legally Schmidt, he looked closer and recognized him. Have you ever asked yourself why Afton kidnaps Garrett in the first place? Why does he go out of his way to follow a family to Nebraska and steal one of their children when all of his other victims have just been from Freddy's? He's paying back a debt. Afton is a fan of symmetry. Afton followed this ordinary family and kidnapped this ordinary boy because he believes in an eye for an eye. These people kidnapped his son from him. Because these people aren't the Schmidts, they're the Emilys. I'm willing to go out on a limb and say the next movies are going to reveal that this man is Henry Emily and that this woman is Mrs. Afton. Hear me out here. Do you know why William starts killing kids in the movies? Well, as much as I wish this wasn't true, it's definitely because we're about to lean hard into some sci-fi shenanigans in the following movies. William has an agony extractor, and he's also aware that his suits are possessed, and he has a spring-lock suit that can only fit a child. I'm fairly confident that the sequel to the FNAF movie is going to be throwing around terms like remnant and agony. I believe that Mrs. Afton found out what William was doing and had done, took her unborn son Michael, and left. She told Henry, William's business partner, what was going on, and they attempted to get William arrested. But without any evidence of the kids' bodies, they had no case. The police don't arrest Afton, but they do shut down Freddy's. So Henry and Mrs. Afton change their last names to something innocuous and common like Schmidt, and flee so that William can never find them again. They raise Michael as a Schmidt and have another baby boy named Garrett. William, to distance himself from any suspicion, also changes his name to Steve Raglan. He eventually manages to find out that the Emilys changed their name, tracks them down, and does to them exactly what they did to him. He took their son. That's why William recognizes Mike's last name and stops to look him over. Mike is familiar to him, and he eventually recognizes him. Later, Mrs. Afton gives birth to Abby, who was probably already conceived by the time Garrett was kidnapped, but that's just speculation. Either way, she ends up dying and Father Schmidt abandons his kids. Let's back up a second so I can explain myself a little bit. The second reason that I mentioned earlier that makes me believe Mike is an Afton is that in his family photo, his dad is doing bunny ears on him. Both the rabbit on Mike's book and his dad doing bunny ears on him are the first things we see when the movie introduces us to Mike. That's not a coincidence. I believe that this woman is Mrs. Afton because it gives William a motive. Why follow a random family to Nebraska and randomly kidnap one of their kids? Because that's not a random family and that's not a random kid. Michael is the son of Mrs. A and William, but Garrett is the son of Mrs. A and Henry. William kidnapped Garrett because he was Henry's biological son that he had with William's wife. Why am I so sure this guy is Henry? My reasons are threefold. 1. William is implied to be jealous of Henry in the games, and that's only reinforced in the books, but in both these pieces of media, it seems to be because Henry was better at making animatronics. In this movie, that doesn't really seem to be the case. To me, it seems like William was the one making animatronics. Considering that there's a spring lock made for a child that I doubt Henry would have created, along with the aforementioned Shadow Freddy had agony extractor, I don't think Henry was the mechanically inclined one necessarily. So why would he be jealous of Henry in the movies? Well, maybe because Henry took his wife and child from him. According to Mike, his dad abandoned him and his sister, which lines up directly with what Henry did in the novels. And 3. Abby. I said earlier that most people immediately assumed Abby was the movie's counterpart to Elizabeth. They were wrong. Abby is not Elizabeth, she's Charlie. Now we're getting into it. First and most obviously, we already have a movie counterpart for Elizabeth. It's Vanessa. She's literally Afton's biological daughter, and it looks like the actress they chose for Vanessa's child self was specifically picked out to resemble Elizabeth from the games. That's small potatoes compared to what we're about to get into though. I've brought up the Springlock suit twice now, but I've only referred to it as a Springlock suit. You might not know this, but it has a name. It's Ella. This suit is designed to look exactly like the Ella doll from the novels. In the novels, this is what Charlie's soul possessed. Is it a coincidence that this is the suit the animatronics, being controlled by Afton, try to stuff Abby into, even though they clearly have this spare dog Springlock in the back? I think not. Furthermore, Abby is introduced to us as someone who likes to draw pictures, make forts, and talk to, quote, imaginary friends. I believe Charlie, in one way or another, is a resident of the Post-it note room security breach, because her name is on the door and a bunch of other stuff I go into in my video about Cassie that I'll link in the description, which could connect to her love of drawings and propensity for fort building, but even if you don't believe me about that, the way she talks to and about the animatronics and the spirits possessing them cannot be ignored. She constantly refers to them as her friends, she is completely aware they are ghosts from the very beginning, and she has been connected to them and able to talk to them since before she even went to Freddy's in the first place. Her drawings can affect the kids' spirits even when they're both drawn and pinned outside of Freddy's. We know this because as soon as Abby crosses out Mike's face in all her drawings, the animatronics immediately try to kill him. I had a suspicion that Scott was trying to give everyone a red herring by naming this character Abby, so they would think it's Elizabeth, only for it to end up being Charlie since the very first time she appeared in a trailer. All of Abby's dialogue in relation to the animatronics reminds me of Charlie, but more than anything, her line at the end of the movie after pinning the drawing of William to the wall and glaring at him like a boss when she says, "They can see you now," sounds so similar to how the puppet talks to William in Ultimate Custom Night. This is just a little thing, but if you believe the puppet is the person talking to the crying child in FNAF 4's last scene when they say, "I'll put you back together," then that might be another connection because Abby sleeps with the yellow bear plush. Speaking of the yellow bear, Golden Freddy. We've talked about everyone in this family tree except for Garrett. To me, it seems clear that Garrett is possessing Fredbear. I believe Garrett is the movie's counterpart to the crying child, not only because he is Mike's brother, but also because, just like in the games, Mike blames himself for his brother's death. Why do we never see Garrett's spirit? Well, that's because Cassidy is in charge. Golden Freddy has one eye. This is to represent that only one person is in control. The other eye is unlit because, as we see in the security logbook, the crying child can't see. This can even explain why Golden Freddy can teleport. He has the remnant of two souls. We know he's tangible because he weighs down the taxicab, so it's not like he's just an illusion. Mike even says that he feels closer to Garrett when at Freddy's. That wouldn't make sense if Garrett's spirit was somewhere else. And finally, we see "It's me" written into the dust of the mirror when Mike first comes to the office. Garrett is possessing Golden Freddy alongside Cassidy. No two ways about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing if you had fun watching me ramble about this franchise, and don't be hesitant to comment any theories or disagreements you have, or details I missed below. I read every single comment. I also do polls to decide my next video and to see where the FNAF community lands on controversial topics, so check those out too. Bye!